Welcome. Let's look at the external carotid artery. This is our study guide, and I hope that by the end of this class, we should be able to describe the origin of the external carotid artery. We should also be able to state the branches, how these branches emerge, where they emerge from, and what they supply. And also we'll be looking at the clinical anatomy. So the external carotid artery, from the name, we should know that it is a sub-branch of the common carotid, and they supply structures in the head, face, and neck region. So this is the common carotid artery, and this further divides into the internal carotid artery, which goes inside the cranium to supply the brain tissue, and also the external carotid artery, which supplies structures in the head, face, and neck region. So let's quickly go back to the arc of aorta so that we would be able to trace the origin of the common carotid and also its subdivisions into the internal and the external carotid artery. We have three emergence. On the left, we have the left common carotid, we have the left subclavian. So this is the left common carotid and this is the left subclavian. While on the right, we have the brachiocephalic trunk. And this is the brachiocephalic trunk on the right. But this further divides into the right subclavian and the right common carotid. So that at the end, we have two emergence of the right subclavian and the right common carotid. And we also have on the left, we have the left common carotid and the left subclavian. We have the common carotid now on the right. We also now have the common carotid on the left. So the common carotid now further divides into the internal carotid and the external carotid. The internal carotid goes inside the cranial cavity to supply the brain tissue. Even though along its course, it gives off branches to supply structures around where it passes through, but finally its destination is in the cranium to supply the brain tissue. While the external carotid runs outwards, where it supplies regions of the head, the face, and the neck region. Also a bit more on how the common carotid finally divides into the internal and the external carotid. We said that the common carotid now runs upward. When they get to the level of the fourth cervical vertebra, this also corresponds to the upper border of the thyroid cartilage. It is at this level that the common carotid divides into the internal carotid artery and the external carotid artery. This is our thyroid cartilage, which forms the major structural component of the larynx. It is located in the anterior midline neck region. So the upper border of this thyroid cartilage corresponds to the fourth cervical vertebral level, and this is the level where we have the division of the common carotid into the internal carotid artery and the external carotid artery. And if we look at the size of this subdivision network, we would see that the internal carotid artery has a bigger dimension than the external carotid artery. So we have the common carotid dividing into a bigger internal carotid artery and a smaller external carotid artery. So let's quickly look at the carotid sheath. The common carotid artery does not just run through on its own. It is surrounded by a sheath that is called the carotid sheath. This sheath is a fibrous connective tissue that tends to enclose the vascular structure of the neck. So the region highlighted in green is the carotid sheath. And within the carotid sheath, we have the internal jugular vein, which is located more laterally, and this is followed by the vagus nerve. Then we have the carotid artery. The vagus nerve is located between the internal jugular vein and the carotid artery. But the way it is placed more at the back. If you look at this T section, this is the internal jugular vein, this is the carotid artery, this is the vagus nerve. It is placed between them, but it is more to the posterior end. So it is more located at the back, even though it is located between the two vessels. There is also a unique kind of presentation that the carotid artery presents within the carotid sheath. So let's follow suit to see how this unfolds. We say that we have the common carotid artery So as they run upward, they bifurcate and divide into a bigger internal carotid artery and a smaller external carotid artery. At this level, the external carotid artery pierces the carotid sheath so as to find its way out to be able to run through to supply the head, face, and neck region. So we can say that within the carotid sheath, the external carotid artery does not form its structural component because it actually pierces out of this sheath. In the lower part of the carotid sheath, the region of the carotid artery that we have is the common carotid artery, and that is before they bifurcate. In the upper part, we have just the internal carotid artery, which is after the bifurcation, and that is after the exit of the external carotid artery. So this is the kind of configuration that they present within the carotid sheath. It's also good for us to know about the carotid triangle. From the name, is a triangular geometrical space. Of course, we know that we have a lot of triangles in the neck, which this is one of them. The borders are formed by muscles. The base of this triangle is formed by the anterior border of the sternocleidomastoid muscle. This muscle extends from the mastoid process of the temporal bone, and it is inserted on the sternum and the clavicle downwards. And that is where you have the origination of the name, the sternum, the clavicle, and the mastoid. If you break the name down, you see that it is made up of 3 regions. So the anterior border of the sternocleidomastoid muscle forms the base of the carotid triangle. Why? The upper border of the triangle is formed by the posterior belly of the digastric muscle. The digastric muscle, it has an anterior belly and a posterior belly. The posterior belly runs from the mastoid process to the hyoid bone. Then we have the inferior border that is formed by the superior belly of the omohyoid muscle. The omohyoid muscle is a slender muscle that runs from the hyoid bone to the scapular notch. It is divided into 2 by a tendon. So there's actually a tendon in between, below the sternocleidomastoid, that divides this long muscle into 2. So it has a superior belly and an inferior belly. So it is the superior belly that forms the lower border of the carotid triangle. This carotid triangle provides the space for the common carotid artery to bifurcate into the internal carotid and the external carotid. So the bifurcation of this artery occurs within the carotid triangle. So we have this artery wrapped by the carotid sheath and embedded within the carotid triangle. So that is the way the presentation goes. So let's go back to our external carotid artery. This is the external carotid artery, and this artery runs upward. As they go upward, they give branches around the neck, the face, and the head region. So they give off a total of 8 branches. We have 8 direct branches that emerge from the external carotid, even though these branches also give off sub-branches. But there is a mnemonic that can help us to remember the 8 branches of this external carotid artery. And this is, some anatomists like freaking out poor medical students. And this is the list of the artery. S is the superior thyroid artery, which is somewhere around this region. This is the superior thyroid artery. We have the ascending pharyngeal artery. We have the lingual artery. We have the facial artery. We have the occipital artery. We have the posterior auricular artery. We have the maxillary artery, and we have the superficial temporal artery. So let's try and take a look at these arteries one after the other to see how they emerge, how they run, and also what they supply. So the first one is the superior thyroid artery. This is the first branch of the external carotid. As a matter of fact, it emerges just after they bifurcate. The first branch that you see is the superior thyroid artery. And this artery emerges around the level of the greater conum of the hyoid bone. This is the hyoid bone that is situated around the root of the head. And it is around this level that we have the emergence of the superior thyroid artery. As it emerges, it runs through the lateral border of the thyroid muscle. The thyroid muscle is a muscle that connects the hyoid bone with the thyroid cartilage, and this is overlined by the thyroid gland. So you have the thyroid cartilage below, you have the thyroid gland on top to now get inserted on the lobe of the thyroid gland. So you see it will be inserted on the upper region of the lobe of the thyroid gland. So it also gives off branches to supply the upper part of the larynx. The larynx is somewhere around here. Then we have adjacent muscles around this area that it also supplies. It also supplies the middle part of the sternocleidomastoid muscle, the cricothyroid, and also the thyroid muscle that it runs along. So it gives off small branches to supply structures around this region, even though the superior thyroid artery is the main artery that emerges from the external carotid artery. As it runs down, it gives off small branches to supply structures around that part. So at the end, where they finally end is to form anastomosis with the inferior thyroid artery. Remember our lecture on the subclavian artery when we talked about the thyrocervical trunk. We said that the inferior thyroid artery is a branch of the thyrocervical trunk, and it comes to supply the lower part of the lobe of the thyroid gland. And this form anastomosis with the superior thyroid artery to supply the thyroid gland. Then the second branch is the ascending pharyngeal artery. This is the only medial branch that the external carotid artery gives. It occurs around the medial side, and it runs superiorly between the internal carotid artery and the pharynx. This is the pharynx, the dotted space. So it runs between the two structures and it runs superiorly. So as it runs, it gives off branch to supply the pharynx. So it runs up to the tympanic region to supply the middle ear. So apart from supplying the pharynx, because it further takes its course upward to the tympanic region, it also gives supply to the middle ear and also the dura mater within this region. Then we have the lingual artery. The lingual artery originates at the level of the hyoid bone. From the name lingual, it supplies the tongue. So it runs in the anterior part of the external carotid artery, just around the level of the hyoid bone. This is the lingual artery that supplies the whole of the tongue. It also gives supplies to some lingual gland that is located in the floor of the oral cavity, and also gives blood supply to the mucosa of the oral cavity. We also have the facial artery. The facial artery originates just above the emergence of the lingual artery. This is the lingual artery that supplies the tongue and also the sublingual gland. We have the facial artery. The facial artery has a very corny part through which they run. As they emerge around this point, they run a head-shaped pattern around the angle of the mandible, running over the digastric muscle, the stylohyoid muscle, and also the submandibular gland. So they curve around it before they now finally emerge to the facial region. They ascend upward to the medial part of the eye. As they run upward, they give off branches to supply structures around their parts. So they supply the upper lip region, they supply the lower lip region, they supply the buccinator muscle, the mentalis muscle, the masseter, and so on. Then we have the occipital artery. The occipital artery, from the name, we should know that it's from the back. So they originate from the posterior part of the external carotid artery, although their origination is around the same plane of the facial artery. This is the facial artery at the front, and this is the occipital artery at the back. And they run upward to reach the occipital region. And what they supply are muscles around the posterior part of the neck, the trapezius. They also supply the sternocleidomastoid muscle. Then we have the posterior auricular artery. The posterior auricular artery is a small artery that emerges above the occipital artery. This is the occipital artery. This is the posterior auricular artery. And this runs to supply the external ear and the scalp that is around the posterior part of the ear. Then the maxillary artery. The maxillary artery can also be referred to as the internal maxillary artery. This is one of the terminal branch of the external carotid artery. So as it originates in the anterior part, it is first embedded within the parotid gland. So as it originates, you see it within the substance of the parotid gland, and they originate around the neck of the mandible. This is the mandible. We have two processes, and we have the ramus in between. As they emerge, they enter into the parotid gland. They now pass in the ramus of the mandible to enter into the face. So as they emerge from this region, they give supply to the temporomandibular joint. They also supply the upper and lower jaw bones, and also the inner ear and the nasal cavity. The superficial temporal artery is the second terminal branch, is a smaller branch when compared to the maxillary artery. The superficial temporal artery emerges also around the neck of the mandible, so it also gives supply to the temporomandibular joint. Then they run upward towards the temple to supply the temporalis muscle. Clinical anatomy. Carotid hand arteriorectomy. This is a surgical procedure that is used to reduce stenosis of the arterial wall. We know that within the wall of the vessels, there can be deposits around the walls of the vessels, and this tends to reduce their caliber, thereby reducing the quantity of blood flowing through them. This procedure is done to remove the substances that deposited around the walls of the vessels. So this is a task that we may want to look into. And the first question states that we should describe the branches of the external carotid artery and explain how they emerge. The second one is to describe the carotid triangle and the carotid sheaths in relation to the external carotid artery. This should come very easy. So thank you for watching. Let's continue to watch this channel for more updates. Thank you.